the best interest. Education requires costly resources like time and money. Those who do invest these resources often end up richer, not just because they often improve their financial situation, but because their minds are richer too. A very warm welcome to you all on the day 5 of the Faculty Development Program. As we all know, this FDP is being organized to talk about the implementations of new educational policies 2020. We extend our virtual welcome to our guest of honor for the day, Dr. Anjali Shokeen, Assistant Professor, University School of Education, Guru Nanak Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. Please give a huge round of applause for ma'am.
Thank you.
Please give a. We also take the privilege in virtually extending our warm welcome to all the dignitaries, Chairman Sardar Tejmeet Singh Sethi ji, Co-Chairman Sardar Daljinder Singh Kohli ji, Manager Sardar Rajinder Singh ji, Senior Vice Chairman Sardar Harvinder Singh Anand ji, Senior Vice Chairman Sardar Harjeet Singh Syal ji, Vice Chairperson Bibi Dilbir Kaur ji, Vice Chairman Sardar Jagmohan Singh Kochar ji, Vice Chairman Sardar Manmohan Singh Dhingra ji, Vice Chairman Sardar Gurdeep Singh ji. I also extend my warm welcome to our principal ma'am, Dr. Jyoti Bhalla, all the stakeholders, audience, teachers and participants who are connected with us physically as well as virtually for today's session. We know the times are tough due to coronavirus pandemic. However, we are all making best efforts to find ways to stay connected. I feel fortunate in extending my sincere welcome to you all. As Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that everything happens by the God's grace, God knows better what is wrong or right for everyone. Hukum Razai Chalna, Nanak Likhya Naal. To honor our Guru's teachings and begin the event with the blessings of divine, I request all to kindly cover your heads for the Shabad.
देह शिवा बर मोहते है शुभ कर मन ते कबहू न टरो देह शिवा बर मोहते है शुभ कर मन ते कबहू न टरो शुभ कर मन ते कबहू न टरो सो जब जाए लड़ो निश्चय कर अपनी जीत करो निश्चय कर अपनी जीत करो देह शिवा पर मोहे देह शिवा पर मोहे सिद्ध हो अपने ही मन को लालच हो गुण तो उचरो जब आओ कि औद निधान बने अत हिरन में तब जूझ मरो बोले सोनिहाल देह शिवा पर मोह है शुभ कर मन ते कब हो न टरो निश्चय कर अपनी जीत करो देह शिवा पर
हम लोग की भी शहादत ही है आना सबसे बड़ी बात वो है 9 बजे आप मिले तो ठीक है लेकिन कोई लखनऊ बाकी 15 महिलाएं घर का सब कुछ आगे आना सब करना तो की शहादत ही है और क्या
जाओ तो प्रेम खेलन का जाओ सिर धर थली गली मेरी आओ इत मार्ग पैर धरी जय सिर दीजे गान न की जय बोले सोनिहाल देह शिवा पर मोह है शुभ कर मन ते कब हो न टरो अपनी जीत करो, देह शिवा पर मोहे, देह शिवा पर मोहे। पहचानिए झूलरे दीन के हैं, पुरजा पुरजा कट मरे कबू न छाड़े खेत, बोले सोनिहार देह शिवा पर मोहे, शुभ कर मनते कबू न करो, करो देह शिवा पर मोहे, देह शिवा पर मोहे। मरता मरता जगमुआ मर भी न जाने कोई, मर भी न जाने कोई, ऐसी मरनी जो मरे बहु न मरना हो, बोले सोनिहार देह शिवा पर मोहे, शुभ कर मनते कबहू न करो, अपनी जीत करो, अपनी जीत करो, देह शिवा पर मोहे, देह शिवा पर मोहे, देह शिवा पर मोहे, देह शिवा पर मोहे, देह शिवा पर मोहे। बोले सोनिहार
Thank you everyone for being such a blissful audience. Let's begin our program by officially welcoming our guests. We would like to welcome our guest of honor with a small token of love. I would like to request our principal ma'am to kindly felicitate our guest of honor, Assistant Professor Anjali Shokeen ma'am.
Warm welcome to you, ma'am. Please accept our gratitude. We seek your blessings, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti.
This is for you.
Thanks a lot. So you have done all the formalities on this online platform also.
Yes, ma'am, we are following all the decorum. Thank you so much for accepting our
But
invite.
I think this was not required. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. I welcome everyone connected with us in this FDP via online and offline mode. Your presence is highly valuable to us. Now I would request our faculty, assistant professor and coordinator of FDP, Ms. Ankita Masi, to kindly introduce us to NEP.
Respected dignitaries, the visionary Honorable Dr. Anjali Shokeen ma'am, our mentor and source of inspiration, respected principal ma'am, participants and GNCE members, a very warm welcome to you in 1 week FDP program. Friends, in the recent times, our institution has achieved phenomenal heights. We have gathered here with the intention to shape a better education system. This FDP will be enlightening to all of us regarding new education policy NEP 2020. It has been approved by the Union Cabinet on 29th July 2020. It is the first education policy of the 21st century which aims to address the many growing developmental imperatives of our country. and is aligned to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The new education policy will change the face and future of teacher education in India by introducing Integrated Teacher Education Program ITEP. In view of all this, a faculty development program is organized by Guru Nanak College of Education in order to bring all of us together on one platform to discuss, assess the presence, need, promotion, and introduction of NEP and its impact on teacher education system in India. Thank you.
Manmeet, madam, please unmute yourself.
Today's session will be conducted in two parts. We are connected for our first session by Dr. Anjali Shokeen. I extend my warm welcome to you, ma'am. Dr. Anjali Shokeen is presently working as Assistant Professor at University School of Education, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. She has been a teacher educator many years and in many organizations. Before joining University School of Education, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, she worked as an assistant professor in RC Institute of Technology, Nachapgarh. She worked as a staff coordinator in B.Ed program of IGNOU. She is empaneled as an academic counselor in B.Ed program of IGNOU and also for MA education. She has been invited as resource person in different institutions. Ma'am is also involved in literary and cultural activities and organized the University Cultural Festival Anugunj Prelims in Arts Institute of Technology in January 2008. Ma'am has also handled various additional responsibilities.
Yes, thank you so
like
much.
Admission Officer of B.Ed and EVED, University
That
Representative
is
in...
enough. Yes,
Manmeet, ma'am, hold on.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
That's fine. I think this is enough that I am working in School of Education. So may I know your good name?
Ma'am Manmeet.
Manmeet. So thank you, Manmeet.
Ma'am,
We can begin the session.
yes, ma'am. We feel privileged in speaking about your achievements, and
No,
it's an
it's
honor
okay.
for us. So
It's fine.
we extend our heartful welcome to you, ma'am. So now I request you to say a few words and enlighten the audience, followed by your session for today, ma'am.
Ma'am, you may start.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So good afternoon to everyone. First of all, I want to congratulate Guru Nanak Institute of Education for taking this initiative to conduct a faculty development program on the theme of new education policy transforming teacher education. So I really congratulate you for taking this initiatives. And thanks to Dr. Jyoti Bhalla, Ms. Manpreet or Manpreet?
Ma'am
Sorry.
Manmeet Kaur.
Manpreet Kaur and Ankita, who was talking me yesterday regarding all the technical things. So thank you everyone. So now let's begin with the session. And I will be taking the session on the higher education, including the teacher education, that what is enshrined in this national education policy, which has came after, I think, the gap of 34 years, because the last policy, it was came in 1986. So after a long wait, finally we have the new national education policy. So we will be discussing on this policy, and in my session I will be discussing about the different things which are given for the higher education and for the teacher education. And initially I will begin with the some background that how this policy came into existence. Then we will be discussing about the things which are given in this new education policy, and by highlighting the different problems also which are given in this national education policy. Then later on, we will focus on the teacher education, that what is given in this new education policy about the teacher education. And no doubt, this budget has also come for this year on this Monday only. So there are few initiatives which are taken in this budget also, and the finance minister has already announced the different things which will be going to happen in this year. So at the end, I will be highlighting those points also. So let me share my PPT with you. Just a second. So is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and my audio and video is also clear?
Ma'am, your video is not available actually. Your audio is clear.
Maybe your PowerPoint presentation is visible, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, no, but I also want just a second. You can share your video when you are done screen sharing. Okay.
Either of the one.
Yes, I don't know what is the reason why the video is not showing. I think this is the problem which we are facing yesterday also. It's okay. Let me try again. Now, yes, now my video is on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Screen is shared to you.
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay. Now it's visible.
Ma'am, your PPT is visible, but you are not visible now.
So I don't know what is the reason, Ankita. I think yesterday also we are facing the same problem.
Ma'am, but yesterday it was resolved, I think. I don't know what is. And yesterday we had the
Okay,
session with
okay,
ma'am.
then yes, my PPT is visible to all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then so let's begin with the session. So this is my topic which I want to discuss. I already told you that in higher education and the teacher education in the light of National Education Policy 2020. So I just want to quickly show you that what is the basic, you can say, the historical development for this new education policy. As we know that the journey started from the Vedic era, and it's a long back history, and we all know that these are the basically the 5 stages by which we can divide, by which we can tell our history. So then the first one, it started with the ancient and medieval period. We all know that there was a Gurukul system of education which was concerned with the teaching of Vedas, and the Brahmins were basically the teachers for the community, and they enjoy the special status, and the knowledge was only transmitted orally because the writing part has developed later, and only the explanation method was in use at that time. Then the Buddhist period came, and in this Buddhist period time, the formal system of teacher education was emerged, and we all know that there were the monasteries, and in monasteries the monks used to supervise the education system, and the ultimate aim of education was to prepare the learners for a new moral life. And certain new methods also started with this time, like the debates, discussion, question answers, use of stories. Earlier they were not in use. Then after that, the Muslim period came, and in this period the education was generally organized in the maktabs, and they are very near to the mosque, which were we call the schools, and the madrasa as the colleges. And the medium of instruction was the Persian, and Arabic was compulsory at that times. And the teachers were the Maulvis. They used to teach the learners. And then the British period came, and in British period, we all know that there are so many amendments, like there was a Wood Dispatch, there was a Hartog Committee, Abbott Wood report, Sargent report. So we are not going to discuss all those reports which are given in this period, because there are so many more other reports which came in this period. So after independence, we all know that the first commission which highlighted was the University Education Commission, then the Secondary Education Commission, which we all know as a Mudaliar Commission, then the Kothari Commission, after that the Planning Commission, and then the NCT that we all know that it was formed in 1973, which was the apex body for framing all the rules and regulations of the teacher education. And after that, this new education policy came in 1986, and there was a program of action also in 1992 after the 5 years. And right now, we have the new education policy, the national policy. And there, after that, after the policy of 1986, there was a change in the context of education, and 2 major developments were taken at that time. First one was the National Curriculum Framework for the School Education. It came existence in 2005, and the next one is the Right to Education Act that comes in 2009, and the ultimate aim of this RTE was to provide the free and compulsory education for the age group of 6 to 14 years. And then this Persons with Disability Act was also came into existence in the 2005, and the focus at that time was to increase the enrollment and the retention of girls with their more and more participation. Then now we came to newly visualized education programs, which we are talking right now, and it focuses on the self-learning participatory process, and in which the learners are the active participants, and the teacher's role has changed into the facilitators. They should be supportive in nature. They should encourage the learners learning, and it should be treated that the knowledge is not a fixed thing. It is not a static, but it is something which should be flexible in nature, and that caters the needs of the learners. And now we finally begin with this national education policy, which is very new policy in the 20th century. So we all know that how this policy has came into existence. Like we all know that in 2016, the Committee for Evaluation for the evolution of this new education policy was formed under the chairmanship of Subramaniam, who was the former cabinet secretary, and he submitted his report in 2016, and according to that, some drafts were also made, and in again 2017, the committee was formed under the chairmanship of Kasturi Ranganji, and he also submitted the draft for the policy in 2019, and later on this draft was uploaded on the website, and the suggestions and the comments from various stakeholders were invited, and after those suggestions, and we can say that some must be incorporated in that policy, and the final form of this policy came into existence on 29th July 2020, and it came after the 34 years of gap. So this policy, we all know that this policy has some sections. It talks about the school education also, and it talks about the higher education also. So today we will be focusing on basically on the higher education, and no doubt teacher education is the part of higher education. So we will discuss the teacher education also. But this is the first, this is the basic thing I just want to share with you. We all know that earlier in the school system, there was a pattern of 10+2, which was further divided into two parts, ages of 6 to 16, and the next one is 16 to 18. And now in this new education policy, this structure has revised, and it is now 5+3+3+4. The initial 5 years is further divided into two parts, that is 3+2, and the 3 years for the Anganwadis, the preschools or the Balvatikas, and the 2 years for the class 1 and 2. So this means basically this policy talks about that the child enters at the age of child enters in the preschool at the age of 3, and this stage it covers by the age of 8. So 3+2, the first stage. Then after the 3 years, again for the classes 3 to 5, and again this 3 years, the next 3 years for the classes 6 to 8, and the last one is 4. That is the so I'm repeating 5+3+3+4. This 4 means for the ages of like 14 to 18, and it's 9 to 12th class. And one more thing, that in this new education policy, only the secondary stage is mentioned, and it will be called secondary stage from class 9 to 12. Earlier it was the senior secondary level. We used to say that the senior secondary level is 11th and 12th, but this policy talks about that the secondary stage will begins with the class 9, and it will ends by the 12th class. So now we come to the higher education, and that is the main the topic which we are going to discuss, that what are the different things which this policy talks about the higher education. So basically this is the ultimate aim of the higher education which is given in the new education policy, that is to have the quality universities and the colleges. And it is a new way, and we can say that it's a forward-looking vision of this new higher education system which is given in the national education policy. So we all know that these are not the new things which this slide is showing, that in the 21st century we need to have the quality higher education which should aim to develop good, thoughtful, well-rounded and the creative individuals. And for this we have to develop the holistic individuals, and this is very much highlighted in this new education policy, that we should develop the holistic attitude, and we must have the multidisciplinary institutions, whether we talk about the colleges or we talk about the universities. And this policy begins with highlighting the problems which we are facing right now. There are certain problems which are identified in this policy, and I think they are given in the beginning also, that the main problem is that we are facing at the present times is the fragmented higher education system. And this policy has talked about so many things by which we can minimize the problem of the fragmentation. And then there's another problem that there is a less emphasis on the development of the cognitive skills and the learning outcomes, because we are preparing students for the examination point of view, not for their, you can say, the skills which are required for their, you can say, for the livelihood. So in this policy, the new education policy, so many initiatives are taken to improve, to develop the cognitive skills, and for the learning outcomes also. There are some like Parakh is there, the STARS project is there, which the government has already taken the initiative last year only. So we will be discussing at the last of this session. So we will be discussing that what are the different initiatives which are already undertaken by the government. And another main problem which is highlighted in this national education policy is about the rigid separation of the disciplines. Right from the beginning, we used to say that the student is from the science stream, the student is from the commerce stream, the student is from the, you can say, arts stream. So this new education policy, this highlights that there will not be the separate compartments for all the disciplines. In fact, the student can choose a subject of their own choice, and that's why this policy highlights the, you can say, the multidisciplinary. So this policy focuses on the multidisciplinary education system. And the next problem which is highlighted is about that the socio-economically disadvantaged areas, that they are having the limited access. And this in this new policy also, this policy talks about the home, you can say that every state should open a university which caters the need of this group also. And you can say the education is imparted in the regional language only. So I think by this we can say that the students, they have the access in their own state to pursue higher education. And moreover, there is an institutional autonomy. There is very limited institutional autonomy for the teachers also, and for the institutes also. So this policy also talks about that the freedom should be given to the teachers and to the institutions, so that they can frame their own curriculum within their boundaries, and that I think that caters the needs of the society. So this policy talks about giving freedom, giving autonomy to the teachers and to the institutions. Moreover, this is also highlighted that there are inadequate mechanisms for the merit-based career management and the progression of faculty and institutional leaders, because in this policy, new education policy also talks about that there should be a proper mechanism, there should be a transparent mechanism for the faculty recruitments and for their promotions also. Later on, we will discuss on that part. And the next problem is that is the lesser emphasis on the research. We all know that there are very, you can say, less initiatives for doing the research for the teachers. And this in new education policy talks about the National Research Foundation, which will be, you can say, which will be an initiative for enhancing the research activities in our country. And next one is that we are having the ineffective regulatory system, and there are so many regulatory system, and this policy is also talking about the merging of all those institutions, like the UGC has a separate mandate, then the AICT has a separate mandate, NCT has a separate mandate. So this this national education policy is talking about to merge these apex bodies, and only one it is talking about the one regulatory body that will be Higher Education Commission of India, that is HECI, HECI. And the last problem which is highlighted in this policy is it talks about that there are large affiliating universities resulting to the low standards of education. We all know that in our country there are so many affiliating more universities. So basically the universities are having the affiliated institutes, and there we all know that there are very low standards in the education. And I think that's why this is the reason that this multidisciplinary colleges and the multidisciplinary universities concept came into existence, that at least there we all there is the another side of the coin is that we are having the institutes and the number of students are very less, like only there is one college which is running on the 50 students only, and it results in so many things, like if we are talking about that the total intake is 60 or the total intake is 100, and if the students, the admitted students are very less in number, then how we can ensure the quality, because according to the intake the teachers should be present, but due to the less admissions the teachers are not sufficient in those institutions or the universities. So I'm not talking about the private colleges or the affiliated colleges. In fact, this happens in the universities also. So this new education policy is talking about the multidisciplinary universities and the colleges. So now we are beginning with the reforms which this policy is talking about, and there are certain objectives which are given in the new education policy, and according to those objectives, what are the key changes which are suggested in this policy. So the first objective is that is this policy talks about to complete overhaul and re-energize the higher education system. For this, we have already discussed that the more multidisciplinary universities and colleges will be opened, and that will be in each district, which we have discussed right now. And the medium of instruction will be the local / the Indian language. So this will be, you can say, in compulsion in nature, because in every district these universities or the colleges will be opened. And this policy also talks about that there will be more multidisciplinary undergraduate programs also, and it is moving towards the faculty and institutional autonomy, where the faculties can develop their own curriculum, and there should be autonomy which will be given to the institutions. And moreover, it talks about the revamping of the curriculum, the pedagogy assessment, the student support. So basically these all are the separate points on which we have to discuss that what can be done if we talk about the autonomy which is given to the faculty, or what we can do for revamping the curriculum, and what we can do for the assessment part, and how the student support activities can be increased. So for this, we have to talk, we will discuss one by one. And I think the last one is that it talks about the National Research Foundation also, which will be giving the funding to the peer-reviewed researches. Next is the next objective which is given in the policy is about to end the fragmentation of the higher education by transforming higher education institutions into large multidisciplinary universities and colleges, because this policy highlights that this is the one of the main problem of the higher education, and therefore I think this policy talks about the multidisciplinary universities and colleges. Like we have to adapt. For this we have to restructure our institution system, and there must be a consolidation on that part, and we have to adapt the multidisciplinary approach in our universities, which the ancient universities are having, like the Takshila, Nalanda, Vallabhi and Vikramshila. The ultimate aim of those universities were to create the well-rounded development of the individual, and the individuals, they should be very innovative. So these are the things which we have to incorporate in the present higher education system also. And these this multidisciplinary universities and institutions have to offer the programs which are having the high quality teaching, research and community engagement. And moreover, research intensive universities are also going to open, because this policy talks about that there should be academic universities also, which focuses on the teaching part, and there should be the research intensive universities whose focus is on the researches. And we all know that there are so many nomenclatures of the higher education institutions, like we talk about the deemed to be university, affiliating university, the affiliating technical universities, unitary universities. There are so many names of the universities, and they all will be replaced by the word university, which will fulfill the criteria as per the norms. So this is all what this policy talks about when it comes to the restructuring of the institutions. Moreover, there are some timelines, there are some targets which are also given in this policy, like the first which this policy is talking about, that all the reforms should be done by 2040. That is the, you can say, for all the changes which are suggested in this policy, there needs to be completed by 2040. And there are some different timelines for different things, like by 2025 what is to be done, then by 2030 what is to be done, then up to 2035 what is to be done. But all the changes should be done by 2040. And this we can see that in very beginning I have written also that all higher education institutions, they have to become the multidisciplinary institutions, and the ultimate aim of these institutions to have the large enrollments. In basically this talks about that when we talk about the large enrollment, it means we are talking about in thousands, because due to this multidisciplinary nature of the universities, there are so many programs which will run in an institution also and in the universities. So we all know that I think there is less problem in universities, but more problems in the institutions, because they are running one course, two course or three course, or I can say that due to the limited courses which they are running, they are having the less number of students. But I think when it comes to the multidisciplinary form, then the courses are more, and when the courses are more, then the student enrollments, obvious, it will increase in those institutions. Then the single stream higher education institutions will be phased out after some time, and because they have to become the vibrant multidisciplinary institutions. And by 2030, there will be, we can say that there will be a large multidisciplinary higher education institution in every district, which we have already discussed. And the aim to increase is gross enrollment ratio, which is 26.3 in 2018, and it should be 50% by 2035. So by 2035, we have to increase the gross enrollment ratio also. And moreover, these institutions will have to run the open distance learning, which will offer, you can say, they will improve the offerings in the sense the different courses they will offer, and it will improve the access also, and it will increase the gross enrollment ratio also, and it also provides the various opportunities for the lifelong learning, which is the main agenda of the Sustainable Development Goals. You can see that the fourth number in the SDG. And the next one is that the institutions, they have to promote the online classes also, and these online courses will be integrated in the curriculum of the higher education institutions, and the blended mode will be preferred. In this regard, I want to tell you that UGC has also given the instructions that up to 20% curriculum, it should be in the online mode. You all must have seen this circular has come in 2020 that UGC has given the letters to all the universities that in the curriculum up to 20% curriculum should be imparted in the online mode. So in the beginning, we can begin with the 5%, with the 10%, we can have the 15%, and the maximum weightage is 20%, which is given by the UGC in 2020. This policy is also talking about the holistic and multidisciplinary education. We all know that, and we have to for this there is an objective which is given, that to bring back the notion of knowledge of many arts. That is, we have to promote the liberal arts and how we can promote the liberal arts in the higher education system. We have the different, we have to merge, or we have to offer the integrated manner which to the students, which will caters the professional, technical and vocational needs of the students. And there should be the flexibility in choosing the subjects, like there can be the languages also, literature, music, philosophy, arts, dance, theater, education. So these all subjects, they must be offered to the students to make. Why we need this? Because we have to we have the multidisciplinary nature in education system, and which will you can say stimulate the education system for the liberal arts. And moreover, this we have already discussed, that the institutional autonomy should be given to the teachers also, and for the institutions also, because they can frame their curriculum by their own. And there should be the flexible curricular structures. And like in this regard, I want to tell you that when we are talking about the multidisciplinary education, multidisciplinary higher education, some of the IITs, they have already taken this initiatives. Despite of running the technology courses, they are running the arts and humanities courses also. So this is, I think this is the first initiative which is taken by the engineering institutions. And one of the premier institutions that we all know, that IITs, they have started in this movement. Then these are some other suggestions which are given, that this environment education and the value based education should be incorporated in higher education system. And with these are some areas which are given in the policy also, that in environment education, like climate change, pollution, sanitation, conservation of the biological diversity, these can be added. And in the value education, like the universal human values of truth, peace, love, non-violence, these can be incorporated in the value-based education. And we all know that the world is becoming interconnected, and this global citizen education, that is GCED, will provide learners to become aware of the global issues. And for this, we have to promote these things in our students, so that they can aware of these things, and they can enroll for the internships with the local industries, the businesses also, and this will ultimately promote their employability also, because they have improved skills by these internships. Then we all know that this policy talks about the 4-year graduation program, and there will be the multiple exist and multiple entry and multiple exit options. And this policy is also talking about that there will be an academic bank of credit, which contains, or you can say, in which the credits of the students the students earn some credits, and all these credits are transferred to this academic bank of credit. And there is flexibility in the sense that if the student has done 1-year course, then the student will be given the diploma course, then the certificate course, and if the student has completed the 2-year program, then a diploma can be provided. Then for the 3 years, the bachelor programs and the degree programs. So these are the things which are given in this new education policy. And this education policy is also talking about the MERUs, that is the multidisciplinary education and research universities. I think this we have already discussed. And this also we have discussed that this policy is talking about the National Research Foundation, which will function to help the research activities in the country. Next objective, which is given in this policy, that is to make learning effective through comprehensive approach that involves appropriate curriculum, engaging pedagogy, continuous formative assessment, and adequate student support. These are the words which are taken as it is from this policy. And for this objective, we can say that there should be the optimal learning environment in which the student is, learns, and it should support to the students. So in that way, I think there is nothing new, because we are talking for these things for the last 10 to 20 years, that the high quality pedagogy should be imparted, curriculum should be interesting, it should be relevant, it should be updated. And yes, the new thing is that this policy is talking about the specific learning outcomes, and because earlier policies, they are not having this point. NAC also, which is the accrediting body, that also suggested that every curriculum of the university have these learning outcomes, because in light of these learning outcomes, the curriculum must have the POs, COs, and PEOs, that is PO for the program outcomes, then program educational outcomes, and the course outcomes also. And I think all the universities, they are working in this regard, and all are working for framing these outcomes, because earlier we used to frame the objectives, the general objectives and the specific objectives for the curriculum. But now these days we are framing the learning outcomes, and this policy is also talking about the learning outcomes. And next thing is about the autonomy. This we have already discussed, that the autonomy should be provided to the faculty and the institutions, and the assessment methods must be scientific. And I think these are not so new things, because these are given in the earlier policies also. And the next one is that the choice-based credit system is also needs to be revised, so that the innovation can be instilled and the flexibility should be there in this in these higher education institutions. And then we have to frame these larger institutional development plans also, and the universities and colleges, they have to set up the high quality support centers, which will be providing the funds and the academic resources to students. And then you can say the another thing which is given in this policy is about the open and distance learning, that for this the norms and standards and also the guidelines will be framed. So later on I will tell you that there are some bodies which are suggested in this policy, that these are the bodies which are responsible for framing the guidelines for the ODL system and for the face-to-face mode system. Then the next objective is about internationalization, and the main objective which is given in this policy is to have the large number of international students studying in India and provide greater mobility to students in India who may wish to visit, study at, transfer credits to carry out research at institutions abroad and vice versa. This means our students, they can do the researches in the foreign universities and they can do the researches in our country. So just like we have talked about that, there will be a national academic credit bank in which the credits earned by the students, that bank has the record of that. So I don't think now in coming days there will be a problem, because the students, whatever the students does in any program, all the credits will go to that bank, that is the academic bank. And this policy talks about the internationalization in the sense that it suggests the promotion of these subjects like the Indology, the Indian languages, Ayush system of medical yoga. So these are the subjects which these are the subjects which are to be incorporated in the higher education system. And this policy also suggests that every institute must have this international student office, because the students, they can have the foreign students. Sorry for the interruption. One call was coming. So now the next one is that there must be the counseling system for handling the stress and emotional problems, and there should be the increase in hostel facilities, because this policy talks about that many of the foreign students, they come to our country also for taking the education. And this also suggests that there should be a national scholarship portal, and which will support these the students who wants the support in the sense of you can say for support and to foster you can say for the progress of the students who will be receiving the scholarships. So in that portal, all the scholarships which are provided to students, they are having the record in this portal, because right now we are not having any such type of record. So next objective is to improve the quality and engagement of its faculty, to systematize recruitment and career progression, and to ensure the equitable representation from the various groups in hiring of the faculty. So this is the objective which is given. And in short form, we can say that this policy is talking about the motivated, energized, and the capable faculty. So these are the things. I think these are not the new things. These are also given in the earlier policies, that the higher education institutions must have the basic infrastructure. And this is the new thing, that because the schools, they are working on this aspect, but this policy talks about that the latest education technology should be incorporated in every classrooms, and every classroom should have the access for these things, so that it can enable, you can say, the better learning outcomes. And teaching duties also, they should not be more in number, because earlier, or we can say that at the present times, In addition to the teaching duties, there are so many other duties also which is supposed to be done by the teachers. So in future, I think hopefully we will see that these duties should not be very excessive in number, and the faculty is given the freedom to frame the curriculum. It talks about the curricular and the pedagogical approaches. So the teachers, they are free to choose any mode of the pedagogy. And this is, I think I have told earlier also, that these institutions have the independent and the transparent processes and criteria for the faculty recruitment, and they must be given some rewards, promotions and recognitions also according to their work done. And the next one is next objective, which highlights the equity and inclusion in higher education. And in that there are some provisions which are given in the policy, that there are certain steps which are taken to be taken by the government and the institutions also. So basically these are the steps which are taken by the government for you can say for giving the quality education, or for giving the access to for the quality education to the socio-economically disadvantaged groups. So these are the things, like these are the things which are to be taken care by the government. The first one is that the government funds should be provided to these students, and there should be the clear targets for this gross enrollment ratio, that for gross enrollment ratio of these groups, that is the socio-economically disadvantaged group, that should be increased, and there should be enhanced gender balance also in admissions to the higher education institutions. And this we have already discussed, that these institutions should impart knowledge in the local or the Indian languages or the bilingual mode, because the students, they are also facing the problems in the language also. And there should be more financial assistance, there should be more scholarships, and there we can say that more outreach programs should be organized for increasing the opportunities for higher education. And then the last one is to develop and support the technological tools for their better participation. And these are that we have discussed about the steps which are taken by the government. Next one is the steps which are taken by the higher education institutions. So again, in that some are very common, that is the more financial assistance can be provided to these students. Outreach program again, then admission process jo hai, that should be more inclusive, and the curriculum also needs to be more inclusive, and more degree courses are taught in the Indian languages, and you can say in the bilingual mode. And we have to make sure also for the building that should be disabled friendly. And next one is to provide the academic support and to provide the mentoring and counseling to the students, so that they are free to discuss their problems. And we have to make sure also that there must be a counselor who solves the problems of the students, and there strictly we have to follow that there should not be any discrimination or on the part of these students. And also we have to make the anti-harassment rules also in all the institutions and in the universities. Next, the very much we are, because our area is the teacher education, and we all we must know that what are the different things which are given in this policy about the teacher education. So first one is that we all know that when higher education, we are talking about the multidisciplinary approach. So in teacher education also there must be a multidisciplinary approach which is followed for the preparing the teachers. And according to the Justice Verma report, we have seen that majority of the teacher education institutions, they are selling degrees. There are I don't want to highlight those things because we all are familiar with that. So they are just giving the degrees without, you can say, attendance. Students, they are sitting at the home only and they are going for giving the exams also. In that way, they are earning the degrees. So these are the things. So therefore, we need to revitalize these institutions, and some regularizations has to be made so that we can raise the standards and restore the integrity of these teacher education institutions. Moreover, stringent actions are to be taken, and I think 1 year time is to be given to the institutions so that they can do work for their betterment. Otherwise, these colleges, these institutions should be, you can say, the shutdown. And this policy also talks about this thing. And one more thing is given, that is all the multidisciplinary universities and colleges, they have to establish education departments. Earlier, it was not so, because there are separate compartments for all the subjects, like we all know that this is the main problem which we are facing with the teacher education. So in future, it talks about that these education departments have the collaborations with other departments also, like the psychology, philosophy, the sociology, arts, music, and many more. Then we all know that the ITEP, that is the 4-year integration program, is also you can say, the main initiative which is given in this policy, and that is in future the bachelor degrees will be of the 4 years. No doubt it is not talking about that whether this 2-year degree or the 1-year degree program will be no more or not. So clear-cut guidelines will come in future, but right now it talks about that the student can do the 2 years B.Ed program also, and it talks about the 1-year B.Ed program also. That is the students who have received the 4-year undergraduate degree, they can also do the 1-year B.Ed program, because the graduation programs are of 4 years right now. So after passing the 4 years program, the student can do 1-year B.Ed program also. And otherwise, this policy also talk about the integrated program also, that is the 4-year B.Ed programs. And this also talks about the scholarships which can be provided to the meritorious students. And the admission process, like the other departments they are doing, like for the IITs, they are having the NEETs exams. So in the same way, for the teacher education programs, all the tests will be conducted by the National Testing Agency, that is NTA. Then this is also a new thing which is given in this policy, that all the PhD students, irrespective of their discipline, they have to earn credits in the teaching, education, and pedagogy, because ultimately the students who are doing PhD, they have to become the teachers. So that's why I think that is the reason for making it as a compulsory thing, that all the PhD scholars, they have to earn some credits in the teaching, education, or the pedagogy. So this is the new thing which is given in this policy. And moreover, by this they can have the exposure of the pedagogical practices, the designing curriculum part also, the evaluation system, the communication systems. You can see that in bracket I have written that many scholars will go to become the faculty. Therefore, this type of exposure must be given to the faculties, and that's why they have to earn some credits in this field also. So then I think the clear-cut instructions will come in future, that how many credits they have to earn for this. And there is also one target which is given that by 2030, multidisciplinary or the integrated teacher education programs shall be in the force. So that is the maximum time which is given in the policy, that by 2030, all these teacher education programs should be in the multidisciplinary nature. This policy is also talking about the teaching and the technology part. That is, this is one autonomous body, that is National Education Technology Forum. I'm highlighting this. So this is an autonomous body which will be created to provide a platform for exchange of ideas on the use of technology to enhance the learning. Because right now we are talking about the technology everywhere, the usage of technology, and we are talking about the blended mode also. So this is the forum who will be, you can say it's a platform where you can say the initiatives can be taken. And for this, the teachers have to go with the rigorous training. They must be familiar with the online teaching platforms, and we all know that the Swayam and Diksha are the platforms who are already giving the online training to the teachers. So a lot of work is to be done on this part. Then this policy is also talking about the teaching career and the professionalism. And this, in this, first of all, I want to tell you that NCERT has already initiated the process of framing this NCFTE 2021. That is the National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education. So we know that we are having a curriculum framework a long back, but now this in this year only, in 2021, this framework will be ready, and it is open for all. This is the process which is already initiated, and moreover, the things which are like the performance standards, they are to be clearly spelled out. And then by 2022, the National Professional Standards for Teachers, that is NPST, will be created, which will determine all the aspects of teachers' career management, which includes the tenure, the continuous professional efforts, the salary increases, promotions, other recognition, all will be the part of this National Professional Standards for Teachers. And I think this will be prepared by 2022. It's a limit which is given in the policy. And the next one is that this policy also talks about the teacher audit or the performance appraisals, which will be carried at in regular intervals. Right now also we have the same mechanism because after some time the performance appraisal are given to the teachers in different modes. And by this we can say that the promotions and the salary increases will not occur based on the length and tenure of the seniority, like we are we are having right now, that in the university system there is that after 4 years of the assistant professor, the next steps comes, and after the 12 years of assistant professor, the faculties may be promoted to associate, and after 3 years as a professor. So this is according to the length. We can say that after 12 years or after 3 years or after 15 years of service. So in the coming days, I think this will not going to happen, and all the performance appraisals are given to the teachers according to their work done. Then the next is that this policy is also talking about the vocational education, and I think this policy is also giving the main, you can say, stress on this aspect, because the vocational education is very much important in the present days. So that's why this policy is talking a lot about the vocational education. and it's a time limit which is also given that by the 2025 at least 50% of the learners through the school or higher education system must have the exposure to the vocational education. And this vocational education will be integrated in the, you can say, the secondary schools also, because this policy is talking about that the vocational education begins at the elementary stage only. Earlier it was like after passing the 10th class, the student they take the admissions in the IITs and the polytechnics for taking the education. But in the new education policy, it is stated that this vocational education begins at the elementary level also, that is from the class 6. And for this, the skill labs have to be opened in the schools. And like the BVOC degrees, we all know that they are started in 2013 and they will continue to exist. But the vocational courses will be available to students enrolled in the bachelor degree programs also. And in this regard also, the ODL mode is also explored, that how in ODL mode these vocational courses can be imparted to the students. Then there is one MHRD, which is no more, and the word is replaced by the Ministry of Education. So the Ministry of Education will constitute a National Committee for Integration of Vocational Education, that is NCIVE, and it will consist the experts in the field of vocational education, and it have the representatives from the ministries also. So that these can be framed. And one more, the National Skill Qualification Framework, it will also be framed for further elaborations. And there is also one credit-based framework also for the general and the vocational education things. So we have seen till now, we are familiar with that there are a lot of frameworks which have to be prepared in the light of this national education policy, and I think then the clear-cut guidelines and the things will come in the light. So accordingly, we can plan the things in the future. Then the next one is about to create India a strong knowledge society, and for this we have already, this new education policy has already talked about that there will be a National Research Foundation, and we can see that the research and innovation investment in India at the present time is 0.69. This is not even 1% of the GDP. It is very less than the 1%, and it is, while when we compare with the other states, so it is 2.8 in America and 4.3 in Israel and 4.2 in South Korea. So we can see that how much we have, you can say, the minimum percentage of GDP in our country. And I think this we have already discussed, that in this regard, the National Research Foundation will be established. Then the main activities of this National Research Foundation will be, we all know that, to fund the competitive and the peer-reviewed grant proposals for the seeding, grow and facilitating research in academic institutions, and moreover act as a liaison between the researchers and the relevant branches of government as well as the industry. So basically, this policy envisions a comprehensive approach to transform the quality and quantity of research in India. So I think this is very much clear when we see this policy. Then this is the total transformation of the regulatory system in the regulatory system of higher education in our country. That is, there is one this Higher Education Commission of India, that is HESI, is to be established. And on Monday, the Finance Minister Nirmala ji has also talked about that this commission will be established very shortly. So, and this This will ensure the functions of the regulation, accreditation, funding, and the academic standard settings. So basically, there are 4 verticals in this regard, and these 4 institutional structure are basically 4 verticals. Like the first vertical is the National Higher Education Regulatory Council, that is NHERC, and this is the council which is you can say which will function as the common and the single point regulator for the higher education, and this will regulate all the finances, whether it is related with the online or in the offline mode. This council is responsible for that, and all the feedbacks and the educational outcomes, they are looked after by this council. This is the first vertical under the HESI, that is the Higher Education Commission of India. The second vertical is the National Accreditation Council, which is responsible for all the accreditation system in the country, and it is a meta-accrediting body. The third vertical is the Higher Education Grant Council, that is HEGC, and it will carry all the funding and financing of higher education based on, of course, the transparent criteria. And the fourth vertical is about the General Education Council, which is responsible for the learning outcomes. So basically, these four verticals are there, which comes under the HESI, that is the Higher Education Commission of India. Then next is there is one again another framework, that is the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, which is to be framed, and it will be formulated by the GEC. GEC is on the previous slide I have tell you that this GEC is the General Education Council. So this will prepare the framework for the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, which will be in sync with the National Skills Qualification Frameworks, that is NSQF. And it will integrate the vocational education in the higher education. So these are the next one is that there are some professional councils which we are familiar very much. That is about ICAR, then VCI, NCTE, Council of Architecture, and this National Council for Vocational Education and Training. So all these will be act as professional standards setting bodies, but all the these things will come under the HESI, except medical and the legal departments. And this entire policy will be implemented by the 2040. Now, I want to tell about the different initiatives which are already taken by the by the government in the Union Budget 2021. And the main focus, the main emphasis of this national education policy is on the international research collaborations and the higher education. We all know that. So accordingly, the education budget which came on this Monday only. So there are so many things which are given, which are announced in this union budget. That is, the first thing is which our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman proposes. That is, as we all know that Ladakh is now recognized as a separate union territory, and it is proposed that there will be a new central university which will be set up in the Leh. So this is the announcement which is given by the finance minister in this union budget. Then the next one is that the policy that this national education policy has talked about the setting of Higher Education Commission of India. Just now we have discussed, that is HESI. So very soon the government will implement this legislation also for setting up this HESI. And next important announcement was that the finance minister has allocated 50,000 crores for the National Research Foundation, which will be funding the money for doing the researches in the field of higher education throughout the country, and it is for the next 5 years. So it's a big announcement by the finance minister. The next thing is that is 750 Eklavya model residential schools in the tribal areas. They are also established, and the other thing is that 100 new Sainik schools to be established in collaboration with the private players and the NGOs. So these are also going to be established. Then there is also a proposal for merging education regulators through the legislation, because we all know that without legislation these education regulators could not be merged. So I think this is for the UGC, AICTE, NCTs also. So in future they will be merged. So this budget is also talking about the proposal that is to be prepared for merging all these regulators. Then the next initiative which was announced, that we have to maintain the research ecosystem, and for this we have to collaborate with the other countries. And to begin with, first of all, this is suggested that the collaborations with the Japan will be made, so that the technology can be shared with our country also. So this is also one innovative initiative which is taken by the government. So a lot of work has to be done in this regard also. Then the next one is, we all know that this is also announced in this budget, that a formal umbrella structure for higher education institutions in 9 cities will also be created, because we all know that there are so many universities and the institutions in a particular place. So there we can frame an umbrella structure. Like we all know that in Hyderabad alone has the 40 institutions. So that can be you can say one umbrella where you can say this can be formed. Then next, the STARS, this is also project, and the Parak is also project. So these are the initiatives which are taken already in 2020. So I'm just telling you that these are the initiatives which are taken by the government in the previous year, that is in the 2020, I think in October. I'm not sure about the month, but I think in October or November, these are already initiatives. These are the initiatives which the government has already taken. So STARS is the full form is the Strengthening Teaching, Learning and the Results for States, and the short form is STARS. And this is the project which will be implemented as the national centrally sponsored scheme under the Department of School Education and Literacy by the Ministry of Education. And this project, the ultimate aim of this project is to support the states in developing, implementing, evaluating and improving interventions with direct linkages to improve educational outcomes. So this is, in short, we can say that this project is initiated to improve the educational outcomes in our country. And the overall focus and components of STAR objects are aligned with the national education policy, because in light of this national education policy, these steps are taken for the quality-based learning outcomes. Then another, you can say, another project is the PARAK, which stands for Performance Assessment, Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. So the short form is PARAK. It is as a National Assessment Center, and this is an autonomous institution under the Union Education Ministry, and it will set the norms for the student assessment and evaluation of all the school boards across the country. So this is the main, you can say, the innovative, you can say, approach which is initiated by the government. and mostly we all know that most of at present times it is run by the state governments. So this Parak will be framing the norms for the country, for all the states. And it will also guide the standardized testing to monitor the learning outcomes at the state and national levels, according to, you can say, the national education policy, or we can say in the light of national education policy. So I think I have tried to cover all the things which are given in this national education policy. Just a second. So yes, I think the screen is not visible right now.
Yes, ma'am, it's not.
Yes. Okay. So I have stopped the screen sharing. So to conclude, I must say that I have tried all the aspects which are given in this new in the national education policy about the higher education and the teacher education. That what are the different initiatives which are taken by the government and which are under process. And I have tried to compile all the points which are given in this new national education policy, which I think which will be implemented fully by the 2040. Now I think it's a time for discussion,
Anjali,
so that we all can discuss about the things, and if you are having the questions also, so you are most welcome.
Anjali ma'am, I just make a small request that your video is not visible.
I don't know what is the reason. Let me try again. Uh, it is visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think when I was sharing the screen, it was not visible. In fact, I have no control on this camera option to view. I think I don't know what is the reason. But now when I have stopped the screen sharing, now it's I can have the control on this video mode.
We are all learning with the online experiences, and slowly I think we all will come handy with these things. So thank you so much for your session, ma'am. I would, if there is any question, I would request our attendees who are, or the participants who are joined, if they have any question regarding this session, they can unmute themselves and ask the question.
Yes, you are free to unmute yourself, and you can share your views also, and you can ask the things also. You are most welcome.
I request the audience, if they have any question regarding this session, they can either wave at us or unmute themselves and ask a question.
No questions at
No
all. What
questions.
exactly?
Yes.
What
Alright.
exactly it means, I don't know.
Then I think we have one hand is raised. I just cross check one.
Okay. I think Amit Parashar.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Yes, you can on your video also if you are having the control.
Ma'am, actually, I would like to ask one question. As
Yes.
we all are online, are we
Yes.
expecting online degrees in coming future as well?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Amit. Please, have you asked the question?
Yes, ma'am. I'm asking, ma'am. Are we nowadays we all are online? So are we expecting online degrees as well in coming future as?
Yes, I think Amit, you must be familiar with the term the Coursera. Have you ever heard about the Coursera?
I guess, yeah.
So Coursera is one platform who is giving the online degrees also, and they are giving. Of course, the government has not taken the initiative right now for giving the degrees in the online mode, but yes, some courses are suggested that the UGC, that is, you can say, this is as per the directions of the UGC, that some credits have to be, you can say, earned by the students in the online mode, and there is a provision in the curriculum also. And right now also in the University School of Education, we are working for the same, and we are framing the PhD curriculum also, the B.Ed curriculum also, and the M.Ed program also, and the whole curriculum is in the process of revision, and definitely it will have some, you can say, some credits which are given in the curriculum, that the students, they have to earn those credits by the online mode. Either that can be from the Swayam, or it can be NTPL or through the Coursera. So we are working in the same manner. But I think your question was, you are asking about the degree. So that is the full-fledged degree in the online mode. So right now we are not having such provision, but I know that Coursera is providing the degrees to the students by doing the online programs.
Thank you.
I think you got your answer, Amit.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other question from the audience? Well, I guess then this brings us to the end of our today's session, ma'am. As John F. Kennedy has said, we must find time to stop and thank people who make a difference in our life. So I would request our principal, ma'am, to speak vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, all. I wish to extend my humble gratitude to Dr. Anjali Shokeen, the Assistant Professor, USC, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, for such an enriching session on higher education, including teacher education. In the light of New Education Policy 2020, with a focus on institutional restructuring and consolidation with holistic and multidisciplinary approach and optimal learning environment, Project STARS, and so many other things. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the session. It will certainly work as an asset for all of us. We also look forward to our second session of the day by Dr. Amit Ahuja. This session will resume after 15 minutes, and we will have Dr. Ahuja in the college itself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Manjeet, ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone who are connected with us. We will resume our session after a short break of 15 minutes. Lunch is being organized for all the attendees present here, and the participants connected with us can take a small break as well and rejoin for the second session by Dr. Amit Ahuja at 2 p.m. Thank you all. Before we end, we would like to play our gratitude to our nation. So I would request you all to kindly stand for the national anthem before we end this session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
जय गणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तब जय गाथा। जन गण मंगल दायक जगते भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय।
Because of your busy schedule, we are not able to have you with us today in the college, ma'am. But we really look forward to have you with us very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I apologize.
It's okay, ma'am. Our pleasure to listen to you to your such an enriching lecture. You have really prepared very well for the lecture, and I would like to share also that Professor Nirja Shukla, ma'am, who was the resource person for yesterday's session, she has also attended your entire session through online mode. She is presently
Oh
in
my
Bangalore.
God.
Yes,
Oh
she is
my God.
presently in Bangalore, and she has
Okay.
attended your
Thank you.
presentation. And there are so many participants from all over the nation who have attended this session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our request on such a short notice and making it out for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And special thanks to Nidya ma'am. मैम आप हमारी आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं? थैंक यू सो मच नित्या मैम, इफ यू आर हियर.
She was with us for the entire session. Let me check if she's present right now or not.
Okay.
She's there. Yes.
Okay. Hello ma'am, namaskar, and thank you so much.
I expect to participate in sharing with her.
Ma'am, I am not able to hear your voice.
She has switched on her camera. She
Yes,
able to see her.
madam is visible, but I don't think voice काफी break हो रहा है, I think.
She's very far away from us. Actually, might be network issue.
Okay. Okay.
All right, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay.
So we will resume after 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.